Yo, what do you want?
Hello.
Yo, what do you want?
Uh, I'm communist communism, but I feel like communism's meant to be socially progressive and it's meant to culturally be on like the side of the LGBTQ and stuff.
Okay, so when in history has it been?
Cuba.
Okay, so you have one example?
Well, I mean, even Stalin was socially progressive. He believed in the liberation of women. He also believed
Okay.
in the liberation of people of color at a time where that wasn't a social norm.
But you're assuming that there's a broad spectrum called social progressiveness, and Stalin ranks high on that. And that's the operating governing logic for why Stalin affirmed the rights of women or rejected racism, because he's operating according to the logic that ends with the LGBT movement and social progressivism. But Stalin is operating from a different logic than progressivism, as you would call it, liberal progressivism. Stalin doesn't believe that the maximization of people's individual choices and identities consists with liberation. Stalin's a materialist who comprehends the fact that materialism is the realization of people's innate necessity and ability. Now, Stalin comprehends that men and women um, are both functioning parts of socialist society with roles to play. But the opening of education and opportunity and the ability for women to be politically equal, formally equal, but also have economic opportunities that men also have, that's consistent with the governing principles and logic that has guided Marxism from the beginning. That's not Stalin being, oh, he's more progressive for his time or something. No, he's being consistent with the logic of how Marxism treats social questions. That's why Stalin doesn't say Uzbekistan is not ready for women's liberation. Uzbekistan was much more backward than Russia was. It wasn't urbanized, it wasn't industrialized, it was extremely backward. And yet, Stalin in Uzbekistan is promoting the same policy of the advancing of women's status as he is in Russia. So it's the argument that Stalin is not promoting LGBT rights because he's a creature of his time ignores that in Marxism, there's an operating and governing logic for why it pursues the policies that it does, which has no relationship to American style or liberal progressivism and so on and so on. It has its own views on these different issues because it operates according to a different understanding of how history develops.
Well, I just feel like, I mean, even Engels, even though he was homophobic,
Mm-hmm.
he wrote what we can now conjecture about the way in which sexual relations will be ordered after the impending overthrow of capitalist production
Mm-hmm.
is mainly of a negative character.
Correct.
And then he then says a future generation of men and women would form relations based on real love. He understood that capitalism forms relations in a way which isn't how it's meant to be. Why does not apply to the
No,
LGBTQ
I understand that you may interpret from you're interpreting Lenin Engels's words because you're living in America today and you're looking at all these new trends and stuff and you're saying, "Oh, he must be talking about swingers or something." But understand that Engels and Marx were operating within a framework of strict naturalism, which means although they didn't attribute fixed roles with respect to the division of labor to men and women, they did comprehend men and women within the framework of Marx's uh, materialist humanism and naturalism, right? So, not me, but this is what Engels thought. Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's not that he was homophobic. Engels had a reason for believing, according to his own operating logic, that alternative sexualities were a form of decadence because it was a degradation of the human as such. Because Marx and Engels both did believe in a natural human, right? They did believe in such a thing as a natural human. Yes, historically constituted, historically specific, and so on and so on. But they still affirmed a notion of the human that more or less was consonant with principles and laws of nature. And for Engels, progress corresponded to the ability for that human essence to be realized and affirmed to a greater extent than it could be in class societies. Not fundamentally transformed and not human beings becoming another species. Not so fundamentally changing that it's unrecognizable in terms of the nature part, right? Um, that's the framework they were operating in. Don't shoot the messenger, you know? That's just what Engels thought.
Well, I mean, I think you've gone beat on those two, but my last question would be trans and gay people are a part of the proletariat. So why are they not people whose rights we should be fighting for as well?
Well, what rights do you think we need to fight for on their behalf?
I think everyone has the right to love whoever they want to love, no
Okay.
matter their sexuality.
But we haven't. We're not trying to restrict what private adults try to do in their.
Well, I mean, I think I see a
That's
lot of
not.
stuff about the ACP online saying that, like,
Mhm.
you're homophobes. I've seen some tweets from Jackson
Yeah,
Hinkle
but
about,
you have
like,
to understand that these people consider it homophobic if you don't believe that, you know, 5-year-olds should be taught about sex acts in graphic detail when they're in school or something. So, you know, they have a very different understanding of what, you know, these cancel culture words are used to describe. There's a very, it has nothing to do with what a reasonable person would understand as hateful.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Ben. I also just wanted to tell you, I watched your debate with Prax Ben yesterday, and it was pretty interesting. And yeah, I'm quite a big fan of yours, so thank you.
All right, yeah, for sure.